Hey everyone! Today I have both of ONEUS's Japanese singles to unbox. I got these from a seller on eBay. I will put their name in the description below. I was not originally planning to collect ONEUS's Japanese releases. However, as they started moving up my bias list, I began to look into their Japanese material a bit more and realized I had a lot of original B-sides. So when I saw a seller on eBay selling these limited edition versions of the album without photo cards for a pretty good deal, I decided to pick them up and add them to my collection because I do really like a lot of the B-sides and I did want to pick up a physical copy if they had a version with a booklet, which these both do. Like I said, I got these without photo cards as I am not planning to collect ONEUS's Japanese photo cards at this point in time. But the albums I'm going to take a look at today are their first Japanese single, Twilight, which is a remake of their Korean single of the same name, and their second Japanese single, 808, which is an original song. The albums are different sizes, which I'm not a huge fan of. I was hoping the packaging would be a bit more consistent, like most of their Korean releases have been. But I do appreciate that these versions of the albums are not just jewel cases, as that is a big reason why I don't tend to collect many Japanese releases. I know there were quite a few different versions released for each of the albums, but I'm not too knowledgeable on what all of those different versions were. I haven't watched too many unboxings because I did want to leave these mostly a surprise for when I got my copies in the mail. So we're going to look at Twilight first because that was their first Japanese single. And the cover is pretty simplistic with ONEUS, the Twilight logo, and then the moon phases right here. But it is very pretty. And on the spine we can see it says Twilight Limited Edition ONEUS. And we have our track listing on the back. It says Twilight ONEUS Japan first single. And it comes with CD and DVD. We have the Japanese versions of Twilight and Valkyrie, which were their first two Korean singles. We also have the two original Japanese B-sides and the instrumental version of Twilight. And on the DVD, we have the music videos for both the Japanese version of Twilight and Valkyrie. I actually did not realize they both had music videos, so I'm interested to take a look at those. I imagine they will both be pretty similar to the Korean versions, though. But it is a hardcover book style. Looks like we've got the CD in the front. I presume the DVD will be in the back. It sure is. The DVD is all region, which is good to know. A lot of times Japanese releases are not advertised as having all region DVDs, but in my experience, most of the time they do turn out to be all region, which is pretty good for international fans. I imagine that the photos in this will be pretty similar to the photos in the Korean version of Twilight, because I don't imagine they did a whole separate photo shoot for this. They probably took a bunch of extra photos, having it in mind that they were going to put out a Japanese version later. We actually get Valkyrie era photos as well, which I was not expecting, but it does make sense considering Valkyrie is one of the B-sides on here. So we start off with Raven, Soho, Ganak, Gunny, Hwanu, and Dongju. We have some unit photos. And we have the lyrics for the Japanese version of Twilight, and then we switch to the Twilight pictures. Raven and Soho again. This is a really nice photo book too, like the pages are thick and well made. A lot of times Japanese photo books can end up feeling a little bit on the cheaper side with thinner or more papery pages. So it's really good to know that's not the case here. Yeah, Yeah, the styling for both of these eras was so nice. And yeah, these are photo shoots we've seen before, but they are different photos from them, which is good. With the lyrics to the Japanese version of Valkyrie. Which these pictures actually really do have a similar vibe to the Twilight movies, which kind of makes sense. Yeah, these are really pretty shots. So I wouldn't say this album is necessarily anything groundbreaking if you have their first two Korean albums, because these are literally the exact same photo shoots you'll find in those, just different pictures from the shoot. I have the lyrics to the two Japanese B-sides, which I don't remember the names of off the top of my head, but they were both very good. We have our credits. But definitely, if you are looking to expand your collection beyond their Korean releases, this is pretty well made for a Japanese release. It's very decently sized, and it's got a really nice photo book. I would personally say this is one of the better made Japanese releases in my personal collection. So if it is something you're considering picking up, I would personally recommend it. If you don't mind that the concept is something similar to their first two Korean albums, or if you don't have the first two Korean albums, this honestly might be a cost-effective way to get a glimpse of those photo shoots. Next, we will take a look at their second Japanese single, 808, and this is a wholly original release. It is a completely unique photo shoot concept and completely new songs that were not on any of their Korean albums. Packaging is a bit smaller though. On the spine we can see it says 808 limited edition ONEUS. There are track listing on the back once again. ONEUS Japan second single limited edition. There are 5 songs on the CD. The title track 808, the B-sides 1,000 Stars, Lost, and In My Arms, and then the instrumental for 808. And again, all the B-sides are really solid. I would say their Japanese B-sides tend to be more on the slower, sentimental side. So if you're not a fan of that kind of music, you may not be as interested in their Japanese stuff. But I think it's all very pretty and worth checking out at least once. The DVD this time around just has a music video for 808, which is readily available for streaming on YouTube. So there's not really a need to have the physical DVD version of it, but it is still nice to have that included as a bonus. Packaging is different on the inside as well. This is a little more like what I expect from Japanese releases, to be honest. We have the CD-DVD tray, which has the discs in it, and then the photo book just attached to the packaging. But again, even just like lightly touching the pages, I can tell that they are, again, that thicker, sturdier material, whereas a lot of Japanese releases tend to have a more papery photo book. So again, that is a pleasant surprise there. The way this is oriented though is a little bit awkward to look through the photo book. I almost wish it weren't attached to the cover like this, but I understand it would be kind of inconvenient if it were loose. I do have some releases that are like that, and when they're not encased in a slipcover, it can be frustrating to store those albums on the shelf. But inside it says 808, and we have our track listing here once again. And the photo shoot, it looks like it's going to be pretty similar to what we see in the 808 music video, which seems to be par for the course with RBW, at least judging by the albums I have for ONEUS and ONEUS. I don't own albums by any other RBW groups, so I don't know if that is consistent for those groups as well. But this is a really cool photo concept. Very artsy. It's very pretty. Oh, these pictures are really pretty in the white room. these pictures a lot, personally. I love that it only starts putting their names on the pictures like halfway through the photo book. Better late than never, I suppose. I have the lyrics for 808. You can tell by the hair colors they took these either around the same time as or a little bit after the Twilight album. Got lyrics for 1,000 Stars. Lost. Again, these songs are all really pretty, and I do recommend checking them out if you haven't. I think In My Arms is one of my favorite slower B-sides of theirs, to be honest. We have our credits. Oh, and there's a group picture back here. Wouldn't have even known that was there, to be honest. Would have just assumed it ended with that page. I think personally I do prefer the packaging for Twilight a little bit, but 808 is more like what I expect from Japanese singles, and even then the photo book itself is a little bit above and beyond what I expect from Japanese releases, so I can't really complain about it. I don't know how much these originally went for because I did not get into ONEUS until the past couple of months, and these both came out last year, but I definitely think these were worth the price I paid for them. That is it for today's K-pop haul. I hope you enjoyed. If you would like to see more unboxings or K-pop hauls like this one, you can check out the other videos on my channel. And if you like what you see, please feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.